गोविंद बोलो हरि, गोपाल बोलो
गोविंद बोलो हरि, गोपाल बोलो
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद बोलो
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद बोलो
हरि बोल
हरि हरि बोल
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 हरि
बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो
गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद बोलो
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद बोलो
राधे
राधे राधे
राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
कृष्ण
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 कृष्ण कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण
कृष्ण
राधे कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण
सबसे ऊंची सगाई
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई
सबसे ऊंची प्रेम सगाई
ओ हरे रामा
रामा
हरे रामा
रामा
रामा रामा
रामा
हरे हरे हो
हरे रामा हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे
ओ हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण
कृष्ण
हरे हरे हो
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
ओ हरे रामा
रामा
हरे रामा
रामा
रामा रामा
रामा
हरे हरे हो
हरे
रामा
हरे रामा
रामा
रामा हरे हरे
ओ हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण
कृष्ण
हरे हरे हो
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे
ओ हरे राम
रामा
हरे रामा
रामा
रामा रामा
रामा
हरे हरे हो
हरे रामा हरे रामा 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 हरे हरे
ओ हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण
कृष्ण
हरे हरे
हर हर गंगे, हर हर गंगे, हर हर गंगे।
गंगे माँ,
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 गंगे माँ, गंगे माँ, गंगे माँ, गंगे माँ,
हे माँ,
हे
हे माँ,
माँ, हे माँ,
हे माँ,
हे माँ,
हे माँ,
हे माँ, हे माँ, हे माँ,
हे माँ, हे माँ,
हे माँ,
हे माँ, हे माँ,
हे माँ, हे
बोले सर्वेश्वर भगवान की
जय,
गंगा मैया की
जय,
भारत माता की धरती माता की
जय,
हर
हर महादेव। ओम जय गंगे माता मैया, जय गंगे माता। जो नर तुमको ध्याता, जो नर मैया जी को ध्याता, मन वांछित फल पाता। ओम जय गंगे माता। चंद्र सी ज्योत तुम्हारी, जल निर्मल आता, मैया जल निर्मल आता। शरण पड़े जो तेरी, शरण पड़े जो तेरी, सो नर तर जाता। ओम जय गंगे माता। एक ही बार जो तेरी शरणागति आता, मैया शरणागति आता। यम की त्रास मिटा कर, यम के कष्ट मिटा कर, परम गति पाता। ओम जय गंगे माता। मंगलकारी मैया तू है सुखदाता, मैया तू है सुखदाता। तेरी गोद में आकर, तेरी शरण में आकर, मन शांति पाता। ओम जय गंगे माता। आरती मात तुम्हारी जो जननित गाता, मैया प्रेम सहित गाता। दास वही है सहज में, भक्त वही है सहज में, मुक्ति को पाता। फल पाता। ओम जय गंगे माता, जय गंगे माता, जय गंगे माता।
त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित्
दुःखभाग् भवेत्।
ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय राधा
रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
जय जय राधा रमण
हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
जय जय राधा रमण, जय राधा रमण, जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण,
जय जय
राधा रमण, जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय
राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल।
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल
हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल।
जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय
राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। नवनागर
किशोर नवल रसिया,
नागर किशोर नवल रसिया।
प्यारो ब्रिज को छेल काना मन बसिया।
प्यारो ब्रिज को छेल काना मन बसिया। करे कालिंदी कोल किलोल,
कर कालिंदी कोल किलोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण हरि बोल। जय जय राधा
रमण हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय जय राधा रमण
जय जय राधा रमण जय जय राधा रमण
हरि
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
How can I let go of judgment of myself and others? I judge others who ignore issues important to me. I judge myself for being judgmental. I judge my past and find it difficult to forgive myself. Judgment is a way for us to stay separate from the rest of the world. It's a way for us to stay separate from ourselves, separate from our hearts, and separate from everything else in the universe. Because as I judge, in order to judge, I have to be looking at the object I'm judging. And the mind can only function in separation. So for example, the power of judgment is very useful for us. I'm about to go swimming. I'm not a very strong swimmer. I'm standing on the beach, I'm looking at the waves. My power of judgment is very useful to understand. Is that wave too strong, too high? Or is that something that I can swim in? Good to understand. Power of judgment, very good. I'm about to pull a pot off the fire on the stove. Judgment is going to be very good to understand how long it's been on the fire, how hot it might be. Am I going to need a pot holder or a towel to grab it? Or am I going to be able to get it? Simple things. Judgment in and of itself is not wrong. We need to use it to move through the world. Walking down the street, I've got to cross the street, cars are coming. I need to judge how fast is that car coming? How far away from me is it? How quickly do I walk? In order to know if I'm going to be able to get across the street in time. The problem comes when instead of judging our surroundings, in order to be able to tread them safely, we're judging those with whom we're supposed to be connected, including our own selves. As I hold others separate from me, as I hold myself separate from me to look at it in judgment, it's actually coming from a very safe place, which is why we love to judge. If I can sit over here and judge you, that's very safe. My heart doesn't have to open. I don't have to connect with you. I don't have to surrender to anything. I don't have to drop deeply into anything, because judgment, of course, is all in the mind. The heart doesn't judge. The mind judges. So I don't have to drop deep. I don't have to surrender. I don't have to become one. I don't have to open. I'm able to sit back, sit at a distance, stay in my head, and feel very high and mighty about it. Because if I can judge you, particularly if I'm going to judge you negatively, well, I actually end up feeling better about myself for a choice that I've just made against why I'm here. So the first piece, though, of course, as the questioner said, I judge myself as well, is you don't want to now say, oh my God, yeah, look at, I'm not even a good spiritual person. I judge other people. I judge myself. I can't do spirituality either. That, again, keeps us an arm's length away. And so the judgment of the self is a way that we stay in our minds rather than actually opening our hearts. Every minute that I'm judging myself, that I'm looking at myself and saying, oh my God, you are so stupid. I cannot believe you just said that. Oh my God, what are you doing? Oh, you're so ugly. Why did you eat that? Why did you do this? Whatever it may be, whatever way we may be judging ourselves. It's keeping me at an arm's distance from my true self, from my heart, from my life, from the fullness of who I am. And so the solution, the only solution to judgment, is a conscious and conscientious choice over and over and over again for connection instead of separation. You're taking a walk in the forest. There's a bear or a tiger, more locally relevant, or an elephant, also locally relevant, coming towards you. It's very good to be able to judge. You want to judge how far it is, how fast it's coming. Can you climb a tree? Can you get out? Does it look like it's angry? Does it look like it's in a good mood? My goal in that moment is survival, not oneness with the tiger or the elephant. But we take that into the rest of our world. People in the world are not wild elephants or wild tigers attacking us. But we literally move through the world in this survival mechanism of holding everything at this arm's distance. So to free ourselves of it is this conscientious choice in every minute for connection instead of separation. If I'm judging you, I'm separate from you. And how can I make a choice over and over and over again for connection instead of separation? Especially my friends. The question says, I'm judging my friends. I'm judging myself. These are the people through whom my experience of connection to the world grows. My loved ones, my family, myself, then slowly, slowly the whole world. But I have to begin somewhere. And so we make a choice. Connection rather than separation. And especially of the self. We're here in Rishikesh. I would imagine if I said, okay, show of hands of everyone who's, taking a yoga class somewhere or doing yoga, it would be almost all of you. Well, in yoga, one of the things that we talk about all the time, non-violence, ahimsa, right, the core of it, that yoga actually means, which leads us into compassion, right? Loving kindness. Whether we actually are practicing a specific loving kindness, compassion meditation, or we're just cultivating it in our lives. Well, ourselves are just as worthy of compassion and loving kindness as the rest of the world. When we do meditations on loving kindness, it's not for all minus the self. Oh God, grant me compassion for all living beings except me. Loving kindness for all except me. But most of us tend to do that. We tend to leave ourselves out of the equation. How can I develop love for all, compassion for all, oneness with all, except me? Because, oh my God, I am the worst. I am the stupid one. I am the worthless one. I'm the one who's a failure. And so just make sure that your practice of yoga, of meditation, of compassion, of loving kindness, of whatever your path may be, that it includes the self as well. And as you do that, your experience of self, the capital S self, expands. My materialistic viewpoint says this is who I am. I end here. Then there's this empty space. Then this beautiful young woman begins over there. She is that. Then there's empty space. He begins over there. But spirituality tells us no. There's no place I end and you begin. I'm not this body. And this body in any case isn't nearly as solid as it looks. It's energy. Put me under an electron microscope and you don't see borders and boundaries and lines. You see energy. I'm spirit, I'm energy, you're spirit, you're energy. There's no place one ends and the other begins. And so as my connection to myself grows, so does my experience of what myself includes. And then instead of needing to sit in the really cheap safety of judgment, because that's really what it is. Judging you is just giving myself cheap safety. It's a lot easier to sit over here in separation from you than it is to open my heart and connect. So instead of doing that, I come into myself and I allow my experience of self to expand, to include you. And it doesn't mean that we love everything. It doesn't mean everything is perfect. Even in our own bodies, even in our own lives, we all have things. There's lots of aspects that we want to work on, like to be better at this, better at that, develop this skill. Have stronger muscles over here. Whatever it may be. That does not keep us from experiencing the connection with it. And that's important because when we talk about connection and oneness and love, it doesn't mean that we sugarcoat everything and everything is perfect and there's nothing I need to change and aham brahmasmi, I am God, and so don't even start trying to tell me what I need to work on. It's not that. It's an experience and a knowing that who I am, the core of who I am, the self, is whole and complete because that's what I've been created out of. And that's what we meditate upon. As I sink in my meditation, I actually have that experience. And when I have that experience, then I'm able to move through this body, through this life, through my skills, through my challenges, through what I need to learn, what I need to develop, in a way that it's not about me being a problem or me being bad or me being less than. And then I'm able to extend the same to others. So every time you find yourself judging, simply say, in this moment, I'm going to choose connection over separation. I'm not going to waste time and energy in separation. I'm going to come back to connection. And again, lastly, it doesn't mean I'm going to approve of everything you do. Just in the same way that the judgment of the waves, the judgment of the pot on the stove, the judgment of the car or the tiger or the elephant is important. We also have to survive. I need this body. I've only got one. Our experience of awakening and enlightenment has to happen through the body, which is sort of an interesting irony, that we actually need the body, the mind, the brain, in order to delve into the experience, the meditation, through which we have the awareness that we're not the body, the mind. So I have to protect it. So stopping judging doesn't mean I leave my common sense at the door and become stupid and just allow, tigers and elephants to, literal ones or metaphoric ones, to eat me up and stomp all over me. But it means I'm not falling back into a habit of keeping the world at an arm's length. Because we're here to open our hearts and connect. And until I do that, I'm missing the point. How can I observe and know which chakras need to be activated so I can become better? Well, first of all, it's really important to remember that none of this is about becoming better. It's about becoming real. Who you are right now is perfect. The whole concept of self-development is sort of a tragic misunderstanding. It implies by its very name and by the very way that so much of it's taught that somehow God left most of us half-baked. That we're sort of half done, that like we got out of the oven or out of the factory a little too soon, and it's up to us to figure out how to do the rest. And so you better buy the right book, you better go to the right course, you better have the right CD so that you know how to finish baking yourself. Nobody, no matter what concept of divinity you come from, no matter what culture, what religion you come from, there's no version of the divine that I know of that says, yeah, sometimes he, she, it does things perfectly and fully, and sometimes he, she, it leaves things for, does 10% of the job. The divine is perfect and infinite. That's what distinguishes divinity from non-divinity. Now, that doesn't mean that we all act perfectly. Doesn't mean we understand perfectly. It doesn't mean we're living our lives perfectly. But that's not because you're not perfect. It's because over that perfection, we have dumped a bunch of ignorance and misunderstanding. And it's that leads to suffering. And so the only development necessary is a removal of that which isn't true. Egos, false identities, personalities, our attachment to our histories, the roles we play, all of this stuff that to most of us is who we are. I mean, if I went around, I won't, don't worry, I don't pick on people like that. Until you raise your hand, I'm not gonna make you speak. But if I did, if we went around and I said, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? You're gonna give me some aspect of unreality. You're gonna give me a name, you're gonna give me a religion, a culture, a job, an age, a color, relationships. You'll give me all of that. Now, that's what we call not reality, not self, not true. That which is permanent, and the reason, of course, it's not true is because it's over like this. It's a momentary wave in the ocean. That which is true is that which is eternal within us, which is the divinity, consciousness, love. That's perfect in you. There is no one who got, half as much or less than or more than or a better deal or a worse deal. So there is nothing that any of us needs to do to be better. We work on our chakras, our energy centers, as the question brings us to. We have a spiritual practice, not to make us better, but to make us know who we are. To make us be able to live in the reality of who we are, rather than spending our lives acting out some role. That we forget that there's even a being under the mask, under the costume, speaking the lines. And so the chakras, the energy centers, are just centers throughout our physical being, our subtle being, the subtle body, the energetic body, that have different roles that they play in our life, ranging from and moving from that which connects us most deeply to the earth and that which enables us to connect most fully to that which is without name, without form, never born, never died. So it's deeply connected to the elements, to the earth, to that which nourishes and nurtures us, literally the roots of us. And all the way up and through that which is the divine. I'm not going to take the whole satsang time and go into the details of each of them. There's, I was going to say books, which of course there are, but these days, of course, you could actually just go to Google and type in, the chakras, what are they? What's important on a fundamental level is its energy. And so how to know what energy is blocked is just by tuning into it. We know a lot more about ourselves than we give ourselves credit for. Really tragically, from the time we're very young, we are taught to abdicate all of our self-awareness to others. So as kids, we're wide awake. We're excited, we're curious, we want to play, and our parents say to us, it's bedtime, go to sleep. We're tired, we want to sleep. Sleep is overpowering our bodies. Somebody says to us, it's dinner, sit down and eat. We're not hungry, they feed us. We are hungry, they say it's not yet dinner time. And not that this is bad by any means. It's important, obviously, to have schedules. It helps to have everybody on a similar schedule. But nonetheless, the underlying teaching is You don't even know when it's time to sleep, wake, eat. And it gives a very, very deep teaching to us from long before we even show up in school, and everybody starts telling us what to think, what's right, what's not, what's true, what's not. Sit down, shut up, speak when you're spoken to, all of that. Long before even that. We're taught not to trust our own inner sense. And it just goes on and it just gets worse as we get older. But we find ourselves then here as fully functional, capable adults, successes in the world. But we need someone else to tell us when the energy in my own body and my own being is blocked. We've gotten that far removed from connection to ourself. That far removed. And so I'm going to just send you back right to where the source of the truth is, which is inside. And if you look at your life, don't worry about saying, oh, this is connected to my throat chakra, or that's connected to my root chakra, or that's connected to my heart chakra. Don't worry too much about that. If it interests you, sure, by all means study it. But it's not essential. Because wherever the energy is blocked, our attention to that energy and our intention to release it is actually usually enough. When you sit to meditate, do a scan of the body, physical body and energetic body. When you breathe, ask yourself, as I'm inhaling, where do I feel the breath flowing? Where do I feel the breath stuck? Allow that to be your meditation for a while. Just inhale, and as you inhale, can you really feel it flow through the entire being? Or are there places that it feels like the breath, there's something there? What are you holding there? It may be muscular tension. Could be something as simple as sitting at a desk or driving your car. Could have emotional components to it. Usually it does. Could be simply an energetic block, not a muscular one. But do a scan of the being, physical being, energetic being. Where do you feel energy flowing within you? Where do you feel stuck? Notice also when you meditate, what kind of thoughts keep intruding upon your meditation. A lot of times that'll also lead you to, sometimes it's just nonsense, but sometimes it's the same recurring thought or recurring theme over and over again. Is it all about sex? Is it all about food? Is it all about hitting somebody? Is it all about screaming? Is there a theme? Is it all about money? What's the theme of the thoughts that keep coming in? And that'll guide you also. And as you do the meditation that I led in the beginning, it takes you through most of the chakras, not all of them, but it takes you through most of them, through 5 of the 7 of them at least. Allow the breath to flow through them and see really whether you can feel as the breath rises. Can you feel the energy in the being? And that'll happen slowly, slowly, slowly. Our chakras also release a lot through our work in the world. It's not just what we do with our eyes closed. So for example, do you feel a constriction in your heart chakra? Do you feel it, a blockage there? Well, sure, one way of working with that is in meditation. Can you draw energy up into it? Can you draw energy from the divine world into it? But another way of working with it is through moving through the world. Can you love more? That'll open your heart chakra. Can you make a commitment to love something or someone every day? Could be a flower, could be a sunset. But can you make a commitment to love something every day? Similarly, you feel, a blockage in the throat chakra. These are places people very frequently feel blockages. Well, okay, again, you can work with it in your meditation. But I have found it's actually much more effective to work with it by simply speaking your truth. That'll open it up right away. Afraid to say something to someone? Say it. The blockage will open. So do that work, but don't do it in an effort to be better. Do it in an effort to be full, to be real, to be true. As with all of your spiritual work, of course.